If any game was number one that wasn't GoldenEye, it had to be this. All right, let's jump into the top 10 N64 games. Folks, if you're tuning in later, or you're tuning in when I cut this and make it its own video, if you want to jump in and be a part of the conversation, Monday nights, Monday Night Nerd, LIVE live, here on the channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about this, and I hope you can tune into the next top 10. This is my list, folks. This is probably going to match a lot of your lists, but this is my list. If you want to know the best overall, there are many different sites based off sales, based off rankings, and all that. I'm going to give you my list. All right, folks, let's jump in, and let's start off with one that is going to probably shock people until I explain why. Folks, we're going to start with number 10, Resident Evil 2. Now, you're probably all going, oh my God, I hate this list. Why the hell is Resident Evil 2 your number 10? Resident Evil 2 is my number 10 because I'm a big Resident Evil fan, and this was my first introduction to Resident Evil. I know the PlayStation 1 was better. Stop writing in the comments before you, just stop it now. I know the PlayStation was better. I did not have a PlayStation. I had to get the N64 cartridge. This was my first introduction into the survival horror genre. I did not have any care to get into any scary games back in the day. This was my first introduction to it, and I have loved this game ever since. I have played this game countless times. I have the remake. I love the remake. I don't know which one I like better. I like the changes they made on the new version, but the original is such a friggin' great game. This little guy here, Mr. Leon Kennedy, might have a cosplay coming up in the next couple years on this one. Maybe. Trying. We'll see. But yeah, this is a game that just changed my output. Changed my input on how I love horror games, and I love these survival horror games, and just this was a game that I remember renting this from Blockbuster, and it was only a 3-day rental. And this was probably one of the first times when I rented something for 3 days, and it was one of those I'm not wanting to bring it back. This was not I'm going to bring it, I'll bring it back. It's no big. No, this was I'm not bringing it back. I'm going to keep playing it. Whatever I have to do to pay the late fees, I don't give a crap. I'm keeping this game until I finish it. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Even just the third party camera, in the corner, kind of like the security footage look that the old school Resident Evil games had. I love it. I think it's a great look. It's a bit wonky now, I'll completely admit. It's not the best controls. I like the newer ones, the newer Resident Evil, the remakes, where it's over the shoulder. It's a lot easier to control, but this is still classic. It's still fun, and this is my number 10 with Resident Evil 2. Let's jump into number 9 now. This is one that I think a lot of people would have a little higher up on their list, but there are games that this might be one of those games that is just overplayed, and that's why it's so low on this list. There are games that are a lot higher on this list, and I love them a lot more. I understand why this should be higher on other people's list, but every single person wanted to play this, and I kind of got tired of it. That's why it's lower down. Mario Kart 64. Great game, but oh my God, am I tired of it. Every single person that ever came to my house wanted to play Mario Kart. Doesn't matter if they had it at home, doesn't matter if they've never played it, doesn't matter if they played it a billion times. Everybody wanted to play this bloody game, and I just got so tired of it. It is a great game, though. It is one of the weird games, and this is something that I would love the newer generation to understand how impactful this console was. And we're going to talk about this same topic over and over and over and over and over again. This game had the exact same characters as the original. It had no new characters from the original Super NES Mario Kart to N64. If you did that today, you would have so many fans freaking out. We were too impressed of going from a 16-bit era to a 64-bit era that we didn't give a crap how many characters there were. It was just incredible seeing this stuff in 3D. So you've got the same characters, but it's still a better game. I will fully admit it is a better game. Although Justin Smith just said it, and I agree. I personally like the Super NES better. I have more memories of that than this. Again, I agree this is a better game overall, but I personally have better memories of the original than this one. I mean, everyone wanted to play Rainbow Road. Everyone knows Rainbow Road because of this game, even though there is a Rainbow Road in the original that most people don't realize. But this does have many memories. And as much as I do complain that we did play it continuously, it is still got some good memories in my heart. I do have great memories of sitting around a console with 4 controllers, playing with friends, doing the battle royales and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I personally prefer the other one. And even I would say the Wii better than this one. But again, might just be because I played it a billion times. Collaborated cosplay. You're lucky I can't shut your internet off right now. Hey, you got a list? What's your list? Comment in the chat. Tell me what yours is. I want to see how close I am to some of your lists. I put in my Instagram stories what your favorite game was, and I don't remember many people commenting. So tell me, what do you think? I want to know, because I want to see if I don't think I'm that off when it comes to my favorites compared to yours, but I do know that there are some that are going to be different. Alex is saying Zelda all the way. We'll get into Zelda. Give me time. So we got number 10, Resident Evil 2, number 9, Mario Kart 64, number 8. I don't care what anyone says. Yoshi's Story is incredible. Yoshi's Story is incredible. I love this game. This is a game that took a companion, because that's what Yoshi was at the time, and gave him his own game. There's not a Kazooie game. There's not a Rammy the Rhino game from Donkey Kong. Yoshi went from sidekick to main character because of this game. And I love it. And this game set the standards for what the rest of Yoshi's career in gaming is going to be. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Before this, for the Super Nintendo, there was Yoshi's Island. I don't count that as a mainline Yoshi game because you still had annoying baby Mario in that game. So Mario still played a factor in that game. This is all Yoshi. It's my list. I make the rules up. Honestly, I think this is a really adorable game. I think this is a lot of fun. It's a lot of cuteness. I love the art style. I think over the past couple decades, they've grown with this. They've done the fuzzy world. They've done the cardboard world in the past. And they've all worked very well. Of just having in the background one two from the N64, and I don't think he gets a lot of credit. I think a lot of people think it's too kiddie. I got no problem with kiddie games. I think this is a fun one, and I think you all, if you've never played it, I think you should give it a shot if you can find it. Actually, it's on the Switch. It's on the Switch. Go get your Switch out and try it. Justice Smith, WWF No Mercy all the way. We'll see. We'll see. Is it going to be a WCW game instead? I will tell you this, Justin. There's one wrestling game on here. There's one. And if you're an N64 fan, you know there's 4 titles it could be. Could be WCW NWO versus, or WCW versus the World, Revenge, No Mercy, or WrestleMania 2000. We'll see which one it is. Number 7. Alex, you brought up a franchise, and we're going to talk about it now. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, again, before everyone gets in the comments of why is this title so far down the list, I have never played any other Zelda game really than this. I have played A Link to the Past a bit. Other than that, I've never played another Zelda game. The Zelda franchise was never for me. And I don't want anybody to come at me and to get mad at me because I'm married to somebody who has the Triforce tattooed on them. My wife is a die-hard Zelda fan, and I love that she loves that franchise. It's just not for me. I can only assume you've never played. I have played Ocarina up until the water level, the water temple, and then I gave up. It's just not a franchise that I really, really hardcore loved. However, I do appreciate this game. This was one of the only Zelda games, and I've picked up a couple of them. Like I said, I started Link to the Past. I never really got into it. I picked up Twilight Princess. I never really got into it. This was one of the very few Zelda games, actually the only Zelda game, that I felt like was a pick up and play. I felt like I didn't need to know a bunch of backstory. There wasn't a ton of exposition that I really need to pay attention to. I got the gist of it pretty easily. I also think this was one of the first games that was open world. And there were other games that we're going to talk about that came later that more or less became open world and sort of became the pioneers and the masters of it. But this was one of the few games that I remember walking out into this area and being like, this is the biggest open world I've ever been in, and I feel like if I walk 5 feet there should be a loading screen, and there isn't. It just keeps going and going and going. I know today we have Red Dead Redemption and stuff, which you can literally walk for hours and never get to the end, but this one felt the biggest and the most open world, and I appreciate it. I love this game. It's of a series that I've never been a giant fan of. I love Zelda. I love Link. I love the story in this one where he's a kid and then he grows into an adult with the Ocarina. The music is absolutely phenomenal. Again, I get it. It's just not incredibly high on my list because the difficulty spike of that water temple just buries the game for me. And it's not for me. It never has been, and I've tried over and over again. Pretty Nerdy Crystal, oh my god, Link to the Past was my absolute favorite game. You and everyone else, it seems like. This is the funny part. I was a kid in school, grade school, when the Super Nintendo was out. I knew nobody who played that game. But now, everybody admits that they played it. I don't know if I was just in the dark or what, but everybody loved that game. I didn't know a single person in grade school who had that game or loved that game. Maybe I just didn't ask the right questions. Justin says, I was never a Zelda person either. Yeah, it's just never been a franchise for me. Again, I understand the lore. I understand all the love for it. I get it. It's just not for me. So we've gone from Resident Evil, we've gone to Mario Kart, we've gone to Yoshi's Story, we've gone to Ocarina of Time. Justin, we have reached the point of the list where we talk to you and possibly you alone. Let's talk about wrestling games. You said in chat, WWF No Mercy all the way. And then you said WCW Revenge was also great. The wrestling game that is on my list is neither of those. WrestleMania 2000 is on my list. Now, you are probably asking yourself, if you're a wrestling fan and have ever picked up and No Mercy, you're probably saying, why did you not put No Mercy on there? And I will tell you a very good reason. No Mercy is a better game. No Mercy has better graphics. No Mercy has a better story. No Mercy has better customization. No Mercy is WrestleMania 2000 times 5. So why did I not put No Mercy on here? Why did I put WrestleMania 2000? Because my cartridge is a day one cartridge. And if you don't know, the day one cartridges of WWF No Mercy have a flaw. It's a memory flaw, which means after playing for a certain time, the cartridge resets itself. So, I have never been able to get past a certain part in that game because when it's supposed to autosave, and when I shut the console off, as soon as I start it back up, it's a fresh cartridge. So I've never been able to get far in that game, and that was frustrating as hell. So because of that, and because I never got to get far in it, it's not on the list. WrestleMania 2000 is on the list because I was able to actually beat the game and have fun in it and not know when I turned the damn game off, I'd have to start from scratch. Justin, I'm just glad you didn't say Warzone or Attitude. You know what? I have both of those. I did have Warzone, and you know what? I should have. You just gave me a realization. I should have brought it down. So Warzone was my first wrestling game. Let me take that back. I'd had wrestling games secondhand. Warzone was the first one that I went, Mom, I want this game. Please get it for me. I love you. I'll do anything for it. My mom paid, in 1998. I want to remind you, 1998 was 27 years ago. $99.99 for that game. For Warzone. WWF Warzone taught me a very valuable lesson. Don't pick up a game day one until you guaranteed it's a good game. I played Warzone for maybe 20 minutes and hated it. And it was so hard not to go to my mom and be like, this is a terrible game. I wish we didn't spend money on this. I played that game so much just to make it look like, yeah, it was a great investment. Thanks, Mom. I'm really thankful that you got me this game. Yeah, no, that was a big, big mistake on my part. WrestleMania 2000 is my favorite. It's probably the one I've played the most. I do love WCW Revenge. But yeah, the characters and stuff look absolutely amazing. And I think this is, again, going to a conversation we talked about before. This is the evolution of gaming that was the mind explosion that we went through as kids. If you're a wrestling fan, and I'll actually pull down one of my wrestling figures, Mr. Bret Hart, as an example. If you were a kid in my day and age and you were playing with your wrestlers, the wrestling toys back in the day, their arms moved up and down, their legs moved up and down, and their head turned. That was basically what the SNES version of video games were. Characters could do this, characters could do this, characters could do this. This is what WCW Revenge, WWF WrestleMania, and No Mercy felt like, where everything moved on the characters. That animation looks almost picture perfect when it comes to how smoothly that stunner is animated. Justin Smith, Bone Crunchers, exactly. That was impossible to a kid back in the day. After playing, WrestleMania, the arcade game where everything was digitized like Mortal Kombat, and all these wrestling games had motion like this, to have something like this game where the movement and the fluidity of everything was just smooth as silk, it blew our minds back in the day. So this has got to be number one. And again, I will totally admit, Revenge, WCW walked so this game and No Mercy can run. It all was because of Aki and THQ and making an incredible WCW Revenge that WWF brought them over, and they absolutely exploded with this game. And there's still people playing modded versions of this in No Mercy today because it's such a good franchise and such a good game. But again, No Mercy can't go on here because of that stupid cartridge glitch. So we've now reached the midpoint of our journey. We talked about open world, and this next game is a game that I think everybody would say is the open world king. It is a game that I love. I have never completed because it's so expansive. And I think there were games that took this genre and went maybe too far with it. But I think this is the perfect amount of open world exploration, collectibles, and a new franchise that I wish had more, but unfortunately we only got 2 of them, and that is BanjoKazooie. This is something you're going to hear a couple times in this show. This is Rare doing it again. Rare taking a franchise and breathing a new ton of life into it and making it, I was waiting for that. I was waiting. Hi, Edith. Good to see you. I knew you'd be happy about this one. Banjo is she's a giant fan, by the way. BanjoKazooie is just a franchise and a game that is... It is the open world master on the N64. There is a game that obviously we will talk about later on that I think a lot of people think is more open world than it really is. It's not really as open world as you think. This game is just a masterpiece on open world exploration, collectibles like crazy, and also doing all that with a new franchise and a new character. If they took, and again, as I kind of mentioned earlier, there is a game that came later than this that sort of took this blueprint and went too far with it, Donkey Kong 64. They could have done that early. They could have taken a franchise that already had life, a Donkey Kong, a Star Fox even, and they could have done something like this with it. But to do it so well and do it on a franchise that honestly, this could have flopped. Like, you could have put all this time into a new main character, a new side character in Kazooie, and it just, no one really dug it. And that would be a big waste. The way that they were able to make this all work with a new character and a new platform, absolute knocked it out of the park for Rare. They did a great job on this one. And as I said, this was a game that went nuts when it came to collectibles. I think there's 6 different things you got to collect throughout this game. And as I said, DK took it to the next level where each of the Kongs had 6 things and they all had like 100 things each. Like it was insane in DK. But I think this is the nice mashup of just enough collectible that makes it fun to go around and collect stuff, but not, Riddler Trophy, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, where you're just, oh my God, I'm tired of collecting these things. It was great. And again, this was something that this was not an open, we'll talk about it now. I think a lot of people would say Mario 64 is the open world champ. Like that was the one. That was the one that went, this is open world. I would say that's not an open world game. It's still a very mission-based game. It is you have to jump into each of the paintings and go into missions. This is a completely open world that you have to walk through. So I know there's some people who probably think that Mario is number one, that first game to really push it. I think that was the training wheels for the open world genre, and I feel like Banjo was the first one to go, let's just go all out on this, and they knocked it out of the park. Again, Rare does it again. And to continue the love for Rare, if you were a kid, BanjoKazooie was your game. If you wanted to push the envelope, though, Rare, a little bit later in the console's life cycle, blew it out of the park again with Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now we have to talk about this game because this is one of my favorite games. I love this game. This franchise, I have so many memories of. This is the game that when you were a kid, you had to play it when parents weren't around. You kept that volume low because different words were going to be said and bleeps were going to happen and certain things were coming, they would walk by the right time or the wrong time when you were playing a certain mission and stuff happened. Yeah, this was the game you were going to get in trouble for, but it was 18 plus on the box, so if you were under the age of 18, you should not have been playing it. Yeah, right. This was so fun. This took the open world genre and just said, let's have fun with it. Let's parody a whole bunch of stuff. Let's just do everything we've ever wanted. And if you don't know the life cycle of Conker started out as a very kid-friendly game. Conker's Fuzzy Tales or something like that, where it was literally just a squirrel going around having fun. However, something happened and Rare went, let's just push it all the way to 18 plus. The first, I believe, 18 plus game on the N64. The only, I believe, 18 plus game for the N64. Again, this was pushing the envelope on many different things. Taste might be part of it. Adult humor, doing parodies of the Matrix in this, the parodies of Aliens, just the concept of him getting drunk and being a drunk squirrel and whacking stuff with a frying pan. Like, it was so goofy and fun, but then you have even more hilarious things in the game where, as Justin points out, the great mighty Pooh, which the song in that game, if you've ever played that level, that song somehow, whether you were 16, 15, 18, 37, it will ingrain into your head that you will be humming it decades later like I am. In fact, if anybody ever asks me, what is the dream cosplay? The Great Mighty Pooh is one of my dream cosplays. I would love to figure out a way to make that cosplay and have the circle and have a small plush Conker here. And yeah, I would love to recreate that level in a cosplay, but that is a big undertaking and a whole lot of stuff. And this is the prime example that I always bring up when I talk about big cosplays. I love the idea of the cosplay. I do not like the idea of what the hell I'm going to do with it after I use it, because I really don't want a big giant poo costume in my house, in my garage, anywhere near me. It'll be hilarious, and then I'm going to want to burn it after and never see it again. But yeah, this game, I love this game. This was one of the few games when I got to out of high school. An old friend of mine, we would hop on our bikes and we would go before thrifting and flipping and stuff was really big. He was flipping like crazy. He would flip video games, and I would go with him, and we went to a pawn shop in the area. And this was one of the first games that I was like, I need to get a copy of this. And this is one of the few games that I own with box, with book, with everything. It is not the greatest box. It does have some dings, but this is one of the few games that I own a complete copy of. That one, Cruisin' USA, and Resident Evil 2 are the three that I have incomplete. But yeah, this was one I was like, yep, I need to own it. And I did, and I've played it a bunch since, and I absolutely love it. I would love to try the remaster that Xbox came out with, but I've heard it's got some issues. It's not as good, but anyway. So we have now hit our top three. And I think based on a lot of people's lists, you can kind of see where my top three are going to go. It may not be the right order that you think, but I think we can all kind of figure what these three are going to be. Number three is my first introduction to the system. This was a game that I clearly and vividly, like it happened yesterday. I was playing baseball for a local, just softball, baseball team. And we went to the son was on the team, the dad was coaching, and he wanted to have like all of us over for a pool party after I think the season was over. And I remember going to the pool party, having a lot of fun, and then after a while, the kids on the team were no longer like by the pool. They'd all went inside. And I remember kind of being like, where are they all inside? Like, oh, they're da-da-da-da-da. And I had no idea what they said. But I went inside and went up to the kids' room. And when I say every single kid was in that room watching him play this game, had to have been 20 kids. And I was number 21, and my head was blown seeing this game, Star Fox 64. This blew my mind when I was a kid. Seeing a flying game that was that motion accurate, that real looking, I know it's polygons and stuff, but real looking, and that rumble pack. That rumble pack changed the damn game. And I don't mean that game, I mean the game. I don't know if anyone else at the time was thinking of doing a rumble pack or a rumble controller, but we still got it today. And it's nuts to think that that's where the first introduction of it started. This is a game that I think out of any game on the console, I've played this more than anything else. I am not a speed runner. There are two games that I have ever tried and succeeded in speedrunning. I don't want to say succeeded because I know there's people who actually have records for these things, but these are the two games that I've actually speedrun. Resident Evil Dead Aim, Star Fox 64. Those are the two games that I've ever played that I was like, okay, I want to time myself and see how long I can do this. And they were both at my cottage, or my grandfather's cottage, when we were kids. I remember going there, waking up bright and early, like the sun hadn't come up. And I remember slowly sneaking downstairs, because I brought my N64 to the cottage, plugging it in, turning the volume as low as I could, but just enough that I could hear, and going, all right, I have to beat this game before everyone else wakes up. And I did. And I was so happy that I did. It was a dumb little thing that I enjoyed. It is a quotable game. It is a memorable game. It is one of the easiest games to pick up and play, I feel like. You know, the concept of this game is one of the few times where I don't think I ever knew a game that had a branching path before. Like this, I think, was the first time where I was like, okay, I need to play a game a certain way to get to a certain level to make it easier for me. I knew if I did the underwater level, I was screwed. If I knew I got to the molten lava level, I was screwed. I knew I had to get the secret ending on the train so I didn't have to go another route. Yeah, this game made so many impressions on me, even to the point of hating this little frog because he will not shut the hell up. Like, there are not many characters in the world of Nintendo that have never received a, he's back. He's not that bad anymore. I don't know anybody who's ever forgiven this frog for not shutting up. He does not keep quiet. Every bloody mission, he needs help. And at certain points, we all wanted this thing to die. We didn't care. We didn't care that he was able to give us the health bar. We wanted him to shut up and die. Alex in chat, Nintendo is always innovating way people play, who can have the best graphics. Wii was the best example. 100%. That is one thing that I know a lot of people, I hope they get a Switch too. I really do. That is one thing I would give Nintendo a lot of credit for. They're the one console company that does not mind putting its nuts on the line and going, we're going to try something really crazy and dumb that you all are either going to love or you're going to hate. And that's why I was at Toys R Us when the Wii U came out. And I remember hearing so many people crap on that system. Oh my God, it's like a tablet, but why does it do this? Why is it just... Guys, they made a rumble pack. It was incredible. They made small discs. It was incredible. They made motion controls. It was incredible. They now have the Switch. It's incredible. Like doing those, taking the controllers off. That was incredible. They made one console that didn't work. That's pretty damn good for that much innovation. You knew they had to slip up once, and the Virtual Boy, I'll give them that one too. Once or twice. But overall, they got a pretty good track record of doing well. This was such a great game. And I can't say enough good things about it. I might actually go down and plug in the 64 and see if I can beat my old times. Edith, look at all the add-on accessories you can get with the Game Boy Color. Oh yeah. I've seen people do the ultimate Game Boy Colors and have like the screen and the light and the battery pack and all these extra things. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts that they can do that. We are down to 2. We are down to the top 2. And now I think we kind of have, everybody has their 2 that are going to be 1 and 2. And it's just which one's going to be 1 and which one's going to be 2. This game created a genre, created gaming as we know it now. Do I think we would get here if this game didn't exist? 100%. But I think because of the popularity of this game, because of the impact this game has, for how well they did on their first shot with this genre, I think this changed the industry, and I don't think anyone else can say otherwise. It's GoldenEye. GoldenEye is my number 2, and this created the first-person shooters. This created the first-person shooter genres. This is the OG. I don't know anybody who has ever picked up an N64 controller who has not sat down and played this in multiplayer. This is another genre of, you made a first-person shooter. You also made a couch co-op that everybody played. I clearly remember going over to a friend of mine's house at the time and spending hours hours on this game. Um, this blew it out of the water. Alex on the console, Wolfenstein 1 Pete. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll give you Wolfenstein, but yeah, all right, fair point. Brought it to the masses. PC's different. PC's that other world that I don't talk about. Edith said we'll purposely pause this for the music. Yeah. This is an incredible soundtrack. And I think this also, this is a game that I think was perfectly timed with how good the GoldenEye movie is. And by the way, GoldenEye is my favorite James Bond movie, no matter what. I especially love Pierce Brosnan's my Bond. The movie came at the perfect time to reboot the franchise of James Bond. This game knocked it out of the park with the selection of weapons, the sounds, the music, the visuals, even just this photo alone. It's incredible. I know people look at it now compared to newer games and are like, it's nothing to laugh about. Man, this photo just sums up. None of this really existed before this game. Like, people flying through the air after being exploded didn't exist before. Having different weapons like this, having this many different weapons like this, didn't happen before. This is also a game that, by the way, had almost no heads-up display, which is crazy to think about because nowadays you've always got something in your face when it comes to a heads-up display. It's always got to be either a health bar or it's got to be how much ammo you got or something like that. This little thing comes up, these circles on either side, only when you get hit. Other than that, you never see it. And I think that made the game even better because it put you in the world and it honestly made you feel like Bond, which is exactly what this game should have done, and they knocked it out of the park. Again, Rare knocks it out of the park again. And by the way, if it wasn't for the cheats, I mean, can you not play Bond without cheats? Like, is GoldenEye without the cheats? Like, I think if this didn't have cheats, you'd play it once, and it'd be great. I think you play multiplayer, and it'd be great. You would probably not play single player as much if you didn't have DK mode, if you didn't have paint splatter mode and all those different things, which just made things 1,000 times more fun. Justice Smith, enemies reacting where you shot them to, yeah, like not full motion, but like motion getting hit and falling over in different ways, not just boom like most games. Overall, an incredible game. Deserves the top spot. Is my number 2. Let's quickly go through 10 to 2, and then we will obviously hit the number 1, which I think you guys can already guess what number 1 is. Number 10, Resident Evil 2. Number 9, Mario Kart. 8, Yoshi's Story. 7, Ocarina of Time. 6, WrestleMania 2000. 5, BanjoKazooie. 4, Conker's Bad Fur Day. 3, Star Fox 64. 2, GoldenEye. And folks, I think we can all agree that if any game was number 1 that wasn't GoldenEye, it had to be this. Monster Truck Madness. No, I'm kidding. It's not Monster Truck Madness. It's Super Mario. Of course it's Super Mario. It is the game that it's honestly what can you say about this game that hasn't been said 1,000 times by 1,000 different gamers in 1,000 different ways? This is the OG platformer. This is the one that took a franchise from one thing to another. And what I mean by that, and I don't think this generation truly understands what it was like to go from the Super NES and Mario World, Yoshi's Island, etc., to Super Mario 64. The closest analogy I can give is seeing your favorite Marvel DC character on the big screen for the first time. It is taking something that was 2D, that you only saw on a flat plane, and now it's a 3D completely. You can see every bit of it, and you can see the entire world. That was unbelievable for a kid of my age back in the day. It's almost like drawing into 3D printing. Like loving a character and you draw it. Okay, now you're gonna do it in 3D. Like, what do you mean? What does Mario's back look like? What does his ears look like? Like, it's something no one really thought of until they got this game. And it's funny to think that there are many games that have come out over the past console generations, and you can always tell which things are a tech demo. Whether it's what was the PlayStation 2 was the fireworks one, was kind of like their tech demo of like, it's not really much of a game, but we could just show all these crazy things that are happening. PlayStation famously, Astrobot is their tech demo pretty much every year because they could do so much with that game. The opening of this game and playing with Mario's face is the coolest tech demo that most kids and parents and never realized was a tech demo. It is so cool and it fits so well into the game that you're just like, it works. It works. It is completely a tech demo. And I don't think many people even realize that that's what it was built as. But it's like, let's see, let's show what the capabilities are of this system. You can grab Mario's nose and pull his eyelids and pull his hair and his hat. And yeah, it's left so many memories on a generation that, even like, let's not even get into all the soundtrack. Like, Dire Docks is pretty much the song of a generation, in my opinion. Like, I think even people on TikTok, that is a background sound for nostalgia videos. It is, I honestly think that Mario is probably the last game that we pretty much all knew the soundtrack to. Like, you could pretty much put on any song from this game, and probably most people can tell you what level it's from, or a general idea, or know that it's from Mario 64. There's not many games after this that are able to do that. Because after this, it kind of gets, the progression of the games get crazier and crazier. Not everybody gets every game, and then we get the console splits of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. This was sort of the last game that I think everybody knew and everybody loved. GoldenEye, yeah, I'll give you that, but like, from kids to adults, this was the last one, I think. And I Justin and that annoying crying penguin. Yes, we have to throw off the edge. Justin Smith also said Wave Race 64 would be on my list because it's the only game that my dad got my dad to actually play video games. Yeah, I have those games too. They're not N64 games, but yeah, I've got those too. Yeah, just the memories of this game. And I think that's something that I really hope that this generation, the last generation, I hope kids have that memory for them later when they get to my age. Like, this game is so nostalgic and brings me back to such a good time in my life. Not that everything's terrible now, but it really grabs the nostalgia strings. Like, I've put on that there is somebody who's posted on YouTube like an 8-hour loop of Dire Docks, and I have just let it go in the background and just had like memory lane, gone down it for hours, and I love it. So I hope the next generation and this generation have games like this that have such a hit to them that they can find others and be like, hey, remember when we used to play Fortnite? Remember when we used to play Minecraft and stuff like that? I bet they do, but it just feels like this was the last time almost everybody had the game, and you could go to school and you could pretty much throw a rock and everybody knew what the game was. You couldn't find anybody who didn't.